What's up, guys? I think everything's getting there. Just a few more minutes just to kind of get everything set up. A little bit of a process. There's so much stuff to set up sometimes. I got so many different screens going. I got to make sure they're correct. I made a mistake the other day and I didn't check my screens and I was had my stuff on the wrong screen. So could have a possible short setup this morning. Is kind of what I'm looking for. If this area holds for the next 15 minutes and kind of get this pullback kind of middle ways, because we got a data wick down here at the 7-Eleven. So nice little possible short area. Let me see. All right. Let's see. All right. Gotta get all my chats out. I got like 3 different chats going on here. All right. All right. What's up, Christian? How are you guys doing today? What's up, Matt? Matt, we're not going to be copy trading all of our funders this morning. The one thing I know, that was a nice reversal on that data wick. I'm going to be looking for a short myself this morning if this area holds and we can kind of get a nice little quick pullback this morning. That's what we want to look for, short, to see if we can maybe short this area down here at the bottom of this 15 minutes. We got about 30, 40 points that we can probably get to clear out that data wick. So that's kind of what we're going to be looking for this morning. Another thing, guys, be super, super careful today. They're expecting Supreme Court news on the tariffs, and whatever happens with that is going to affect the market. So don't know if it's going to be, how it's going to affect the market, but I'd imagine something's going to happen. Either we're going to blast off or we're going to be bleeding off like crazy today. And we have a opening week gap. We got an opening week gap all the way down, about 300 points down from Sunday, that we have not filled. And the market likes to fill in those gaps. So we could have a nice sell-off today, especially depending on whatever happens with the Supreme Court. And I just don't know what time that's going to happen. That's what sucks, man. You're just at the mercy of it. And you do not want to be on the wrong side of that, because it's going to be pretty wild today, whatever happens with that Supreme Court news. What's going on, man? The bleed. Well, I only say the bleeding off. I think I was talking about it depending on what happens with the what do you want to call it? The tariff news with the Supreme Court. You can call anything. So this right here is probably going to be running this data wick. This was your non-farm payroll candle here from 8:30 this morning. We also have an opening week gap that we haven't filled in from Sunday today also that we could possibly fill in. You too, man. Thanks from Canada. I wish I was done today. We're just now getting started. It looks like we're pretty much just kind of stuck around the 700s for most of the night. That sucks that we're going to run this data wick now. I kind of was hoping that would let it hold off for a little bit. Already running the data wick. Dirty, dirty girl. And I don't think we have any other news today. I think we do have, what do you want to call it? We have a Fed speaker, but I don't think we have any type of speaking that's going to mess with the market. Like I said, the only thing that can mess with the market today is the Supreme Court news. And like I was saying, just be aware of that. Did anybody trade non-farm payroll this morning? Matt, where was your short from? $800. Nice. Oh, wow. That was a nice short. Could have pulled the fib on this little 5-minute candle. Look for like a 20-30% pullback as we're breaking the 800s. And that was the second one. So, yeah, that's kind of what I talk about whenever you're shorting around between the 10 and 90. So you hit that 90. It looks like it pushed back up a little bit. And I can't tell where this wick went. It looks like it's about right in there. I can't tell because of my open range indicator. But that's what I was saying. A lot of times you hit the 90, you hit the 10, then that second pushback through is usually like a nice little short opportunity. I do that thing the same way on longs, how we were talking about never long into the 90 or never long into your whole number. Because most of the time you're going to hit the 90, reverse, hit the 800, reverse a little bit, hit the 810, reverse back to the 90. And when you get the second push back over to 800, I would look for longs. That was a 5-minute supply zone. Nice. Wow, man, we're already just dumping off. This sucks. I wish this could have waited till the opening instead of happening at the opening. So what we can do is pull fib on this right here and see what kind of pullback we get from this sell-off. So wherever this ends at when it opens, hopefully it just doesn't go straight down. Then we'll get hopefully a pullback back into our range and possibly look for a short out of that. It says, today I'm on my lowest of the low. Don't know what to do. Uncle from SA. We're just going to be also trading one funded account today, guys. We're not going to be copy trading. So the ideal goal here is if we're going to stay to the downside, when we pull back up into this 15 minutes, you kind of want to see this area right here hold. But if you start kind of seeing us lose this area, more likely we're going to blast back out to the top. I want to say there was like a 1 hour gap right there, like an inversion gap or something on the 1 hour. Let's look. Let me look at it real quick. I figured we would run it to those 50s. Took out those 50s, but didn't get up there. I'm going to put lines because I don't want to have that big. So the Supreme Court news is going to be sometime this morning. Let's see. If you pull the whole leg, I mean, that's pretty much selling back into discount. But we're going to play off this leg here and hoping that we can get some kind of pullback at the open. So that's what we'll be looking for. Matt, how did you finish off last night? See. Got a lot of resistance on the ES also down at the 9.6s, 966. Break even last night. It's been kind of a 50-50 for me in the this evening. We were break even Monday. We had a small red Tuesday. Wednesday we had a nice $180 win, and the last night we had a $100 win. But remember when I said I selected the wrong account? That cost me like $30 or $40 on that account. So it's pretty much just been kind of a 50-50 for myself for the for this week on the evening. Unfortunately, if we don't get a pullback at opening, we'll just have to watch it go down. The only way we get an entry unless it pulls back up into that 15-minute gap. And for as far as our stuff goes, we're only going to be trading 2 micros looking for about 20 to 30 points. And if we feel like we can get more, maybe we can take one off at the 30 and see if we can catch a bigger runner. So this is how we got our eval strategy set up or funded set up as far as take profit goes. Looking for anywhere between 20 to 40 points. All right, 1 minute before the market opens, guys. Oh, that was that. All right, less than 30 seconds. Remember, guys, be careful joining in longs. Yeah, I just took a small gamble. Yes, I've been looking at trying to take in some ES trades. I just haven't had a lot of luck with it. I do like the possible, like a long off those 96s down there, or 96, or off the 66s. Yeah, that's kind of what I was worried about, just freaking pushing down. Like I said, the only way we can get a position unless it pulls back for us. Because I don't usually buy breakout candles. See, the ES looks like it's trying to push back up. Where was your long at on Matt from the on the ES? $970. So even if you pull back a little bit, I think as long as your 966 holds, I think you'll still be good. I'm not sure how much you're leveraging. I'm not sure if you go in heavy on the ES or if you're just going in with a few micros. That almost looks like a 600 bounce for the NASDAQ. If yeah, that's what I was saying, like from the beginning. Without any kind of pullback, we just can't jump in. And it may be one of those deals where the market just kind of stays stable and just kind of, we may not get the breakout until after the Supreme Court ruling. Matt, what do you target on your ES charts when you take your ES? Are you looking for like just 4 or 5 points, or do you just take it to a certain level that you're looking for? Because the ES is definitely looking a lot stronger than the NASDAQ right now. One to two usually. Okay. Wow. ES is looking strong, man. ES looks so much cleaner right now than the NASDAQ. So usually if the ES and NASDAQ are not in the same sync, a lot of times it's better just to sit on the sideline, especially if you're trading the NQ. So if the NQ is not matching up with the ES, I usually sit on the sidelines because a lot of times you just get like this crazy weird price action and you can get trapped in the trades easy. So right now you have the ES looking like it wants to push up where the NASDAQ wants to push down. So it's like who's going to win the battle to bring which one in which direction. Yeah, I know. I saw that big wick to start pulling back on you there. I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if the ES was going to, the Nasdaq was going to bring that ES down. So this is why I usually never buy the breakout on 5 minute candles. You always want to make sure you wait for a new candle, even though it's very hard to FOMO into this. At least that's what I do. No matter how bad you want to join in, sometimes it's always best to wait for that second candle to get a better idea. Because you don't want to jump in here, then end up pulling back 40 or 50 points on you. I mean, that was a pretty big pullback. I mean, this thing went to what, about the 45, the 50 range, and went all the way back up 50 points. Kind of want to see this thing back up to the 750. That's kind of like that 750, 760 range, kind of back up into this area. Remember, guys, we only trade 2 micros, so we don't over leverage our accounts. If we take losses, it's usually no more than like a $80 to $100. So I do it like this. This way, if it's a pretty much a failed trade, I can just watch it go to the top side without getting caught into that position. All right, we're about to have a new 5-minute candle. Got to be careful here. And my stop loss will go at the top of this candle if we get put in. I mean, it's a straightforward, just kind of mechanical trade. So like I said, stop loss will go there. It'll be a winner or a loser. All right, going to get stopped out. We're just trying to be super careful today, guys. Super, super careful. Technically, your stop loss is supposed to be up here at the 100%, but still looking to see if we can get this push lower here. We're still inside that 15 minutes. I mean, there's still a good possibility that we can push back down because we pulled back 70, 80% of this candle so far. Man, I think every day this week this thing has worked where it's pushed back in this thing and just sold off. All right, about to have a new 5-minute candle. $30 seconds left for a new candle. Mike dropped on the ES. Right now, we're just kind of chopping sideways, guys. Still got 3 minutes left on this candle. Like I said, we could just be chopping here until the Supreme Court news happens. We also got our first inside bar here, too, for anybody that likes inside bars. You got cocky. Nice. So it would have been a nice little winner for you if you had your stop loss in the right place. I was being super cautious, guys, because I'm worried about that 10 o'clock news or whatever that news is going to happen. Nice if you're able to stay in that. So when you take this, your stop loss is supposed to go at the top of the leg here, if you want to play it the right way. But you're talking about a 70-point stop loss. There's just no way I can have a 70-point stop loss. There's just no way. Sounds good, Matt? So do you? So did you get you cash out your long on that ES? What's up, Destiny? How are you doing? That's crazy. That was 100 points, guys. Okay. Yeah, we got stopped off on our entry because we were being, I mean, you might say I paper handed my trade this morning. We were looking for the short out of this 15 minutes, But I didn't want to stay in the trade because I didn't want to get blasted for whatever happens with the Supreme Court this morning. And that news is supposed to be released any time now. And your stop loss would have had to be 70 points. So I pretty much just took it with like a 20-point stop loss, got stopped out, and then it went down. So that's kind of what happened with this trade here. But I'd rather take my small loss and just move on to the next trade instead of getting blasted for 70 points. So just be careful if you are in an entry. Take your profit, or even be possible, the closer we get to that 10 o'clock, I mean, we can either go up or down 1,000 points here, or a couple hundred points at least. So the play did work out. I just paper handed it. So, like I said, it's because the stop loss was just so massive this morning. And I'm just not going to keep that kind of stop loss because I trade pretty much just a few micros. And so the way it works is you got a high, you got a low, and you pull back into the 8-15-minute candle. You probably could have had it up here, but I was still looking at almost a 50-point stop loss. It's just the stop loss had to be so massive this morning. So I just basically just took the 20-point loss and move on to the next trade. But this is how this setup is supposed to work here. But most of the time, you don't have a 100-point stop loss. Maybe 20 to 30 points max. But some of these days, you just get the massive stop loss. But this is how the setup works. So you create a high right before the opening or low. Then you create a lower high, pull your Fibonacci, wait for us to pull back into the 60 to 80% or back into discount. And I usually like to try to get short around the 50% part. And as you can see, I would have been short around the 40s here, but the stop loss would have had to be all the way up there at 820. And so that's why I was being super cautious, because I didn't want to have a 70, 80 point stop loss. Okay, I'll check them out free. Uh, I don't really look too much at the Forex, so I don't really know a whole lot about the US 30. All right, so now we're just going to kind of sit on to the side and wait for whatever news may happen. Let me see what time they're supposed to release that this morning. Doesn't really give me a time when that's supposed to happen. But just keeping in mind, if you're in a trade, what's up, Fish Lips? How are you doing today? Yeah, we paper handed our trade this morning. We had the setup. I just paper handed it. I didn't want to risk the money that we had to risk on my account. As soon as I get stop out, it goes down 100 points. Because I didn't have my stop loss where it needed to be. Man, are you going to be done today already so far since you're already up 445 points? I'm kind of waiting to see what's going to happen with that Supreme Court ruling to see what kind of like major carnage we get here. That like 500 point boner candle to the downside. Woof. I'm surprised Beulah Knox has not started another sale yet. I don't know what this is. I hate when this thing pops up. Whatever the. Does anybody know how to get rid of those little pop-up pages like that with those little news? I know it's something with my Windows system, but it seems like that crap pops up all the time. All right, guys, as closer we get to this 10 o'clock hour, protect your profits. Oh, you get it too. It's annoying. I know, man. It's like I don't get it to pop up too much when I'm trading, but it just seems like when it does pop up, it's like, how the hell you get this thing to come off of here? And there's got to be a way to disable it. Or if I could change the news, like if I could change it to like investing.com or some type of like chart news, I would probably do that. Maybe there's some kind of setting in that where you can change that. I wouldn't mind seeing that information, but most of that crap on there, just like, man, what is this? All right, 1 minute till news, guys. So protect your accounts just in case. All right, 1 second. So maybe I'm hoping it's kind of a dud. I'm not ready for them to mess up the charts yet. I'm not a big fan to trade after news just because the markets are usually kind of off. They're not in sync. Wow, this 15 bottom of this 15-minute candle has been kind of a wall, guys. I mean, like I said, this is the whole process of taking the short out of this area. So this is your 8 o'clock to 8:15 minute candle, not the 8:30 to 8:45. So we mostly always pull back into this candle before we drop, usually in the opposite direction. I mean, it's not the exact same setup every day, but it's similar to same. The like I was saying, the only bad thing about this from earlier is how big your stop loss had to be. So this is how it works: a high, a low, a pullback into discount about 50%. But like anything, there's no guarantees with anything if it wasn't going to blast back out the top. So you just kind of have to do your own risk management. I mean, if your account allows you to have like a 80-point stop loss, but mine doesn't. I don't. My max is usually about 30 points on my stop loss. And that way, if you take a trade, it's not like too devastating because if you can live with a red day, it's very easy to live with like a $80 to $100 loss, then just come back the next day and start again. Definitely getting a nice little tight wedge here. Okay, so I guess somebody just said the Supreme Court's not going to release the ruling today, guys. So I think we should be good to go. Don't have to worry about the Supreme Court messing up the charts. What's up, guys? How are you guys doing today? Did anybody else take any shorts or longs this morning? I know Matt that left earlier. He was long earlier on the ES from down in the 70s. Did were you able to get some points off of it, or did you get stopped out on the quick back up, or did you have your stop loss in the right place, or did you buy the breakout here a while ago when we had that big candle here? Because we had like 100-point push down a while ago. It was this candle here. Yeah, it was almost 100 points. What's that, about 75 all the way down to 80? So about 90 points. Right now, guys, there's not really anything to do until we kind of break out of this area. We just keep making lower highs. So we just kind of have to wait till we get some kind of move and some kind of pullback to look for entry. We're at the previous day close. So this is where the market closed at yesterday. Remember, always be careful trading between the 90 and 110. So that was your first probably 90 hit on this candle. See if we get the 75 hit here. No, I got stopped out, Michael. I didn't have my stop loss where it needed to be because I didn't want to risk that much profit. We had like almost a 30-point stop loss this morning, and I didn't want to risk any more in that one. Then I got wicked out. It literally wicked me out, then sold down 100 points. And that was on this move right here. So I had my stop loss right above this candle here. It literally wigged me out. The very next candle just sold off 80 points. Now we're just kind of waiting. The ideal here would be for us to make a new short, like a new low, then have a pullback. That sounds like yeah, there's nothing worse. Like you have the right direction pick, but it's just part of trading. But like I said, that was all I was willing to risk though. I wasn't going to risk a 50 to 70 point stop loss because I don't ever risk that much on my trades because I trade very small. So to risk a 70 or 80 point trade would be like nuts for me because with 2 micros, that's what, 160 plus 100. I mean, that's like almost 300 and something dollars, $300 to $400 stop loss. And that was just way too much to take that chance. Guys, we do have a weekly gap fill in down in the 400, so we could possibly get a 200 or 300 point sell off here. We just got to find an entry. It's right here. This is the opening week gap fill in right here. Nice. Yeah, it makes trading a lot more comfortable when you're not over leveraged because, you know, losing $100 is not that bad on these fundeds or on your evals. But when you're in 10 micros and that crap pulls back 30, 40 points, that's like a lot. That's like what, $600, $700? Dude, this thing's going, man, this thing could easily go all the way back up to the 700 here. I've seen this move play out 3 times, Fish Lips. Blast to 75, blast to 50, and bounce off the 25. That's like the 3rd day in a row that this has happened. Wow, what a nice. Man, the size of these candles are insane today, guys. Like, your stop loss just have to be so massive today. I mean, if you bought at the bottom close of this candle around that 23%, usually if this gets over like the 80 to 90%, this candle is usually no more good. It's just going to push back up into this area. So that's usually a no-go. That's at the previous day close at 11. A lot of times we would take trades off of that previous day close as long as it's after 10 o'clock. My goodness, this thing is just crazy today, guys. Man, 100.5-minute candle. This thing is just wrecking people on both sides. Dude, fish lips, I can't believe that crap held up at the 25. What's up, YouTube? Man, all the way back to our opening 15-minute candle. All right, we got about 50 seconds left on this 5-minute candle here. All right, 13 seconds for a new candle. Kind of want to see like a little wick to retest like the 21 or even the 21% or a little back into discount. You want to see the 20%, 30% holds, and that kind of gives you a good indicator that the trend is still strong. Now, what sucks is if it doesn't pull back, it just rips and you don't really get that little wick pullback. Mm. If we get through those 66s, we should get a push. 66 should be the line in the sand here. If we can break 66, we should get a pump up there to the 800s. We got about a minute and a half left for a new 5-minute candle. A lot of times, if you can keep this small little body, either small green, small body red, this next candle will kind of take off. Thank you guys for the likes and subscribes today. All right, we just broke the 66. We got 40 seconds left on this next 5-minute candle. All right, 20 seconds left. We got to get above the 66s here. If we stay above 66, if we start losing at 66, we'll close this trade. So as long as this wick holds, we don't really want it to pull down any farther than this. Man, this is just going to be one of these days for me. We're trying to see if we can run that daily high up there at the 40s. All right, finally got the pop. That took a little bit, guys. All right, 66 should be your line in the sand here. All right, whole numbers, start locking in some profit because we could get a reversal at the whole number. We're looking for 840 up at the top, 830. Woo, boner. We're going to stay right below the 90 level and see if we can hold on to this a little longer. Ugh. Yeah, we got long above 66. I mentioned that 66 was my long level. We got a little print above the 66. We had a little wick down to about into the 50s. So you can see we kind of, the body was closed above that 66 level. And we were long, our entry's right at 66. Dude, I missed my funded trade setup this morning because I didn't want to risk what I needed to risk. So it was pretty much a paper handed trade where I lost like $100 on it. So my funded trade failed me this morning, or I failed it by not playing it right. I was being super cautious. That's the possible Supreme Court news had me nervous. All right. Yeah, Solo. Here was my funded trade setup. I got the setup, but like I said, we just paper handed it. You got your high, you got your low. I tried to enter on this candle when it pushed up. I thought it was done pushing, and it did a quick wick and stopped me out. And literally the very next candle sold off 80 points. So it's just one of those days, you know. I knew it could happen because I didn't have my stop loss where it needed to be. Your stop loss had to be up at the previous high candle. But like I said, I just wasn't willing to risk 80 points or 70 points because that would have been like, if I took that loss on that move there, you're looking at like almost between $300 and $400 loss with two micros. And there was just no way. I think what I'll do is I'm gonna move my it's looking so bullish right now that my original target was going to be the 39 here. But if we can print outside of this 15-minute candle, I'm going to take my stop loss to that 15-minute candle. Yeah, so that would have been your stop loss if you were short. What's up, Believe? How are you doing today? Thanks for the like. Oh, yeah, 66 was my buy zone. That was the area that I said it right before we took it. If we can get above 66, we were going to take that trade. Man, there's so much time left on this candle. Like, where can we go? Yeah, no, No, Solo. What is crazy about that V-shaped recovery? I have watched that same trade happen 3 days in a row, but I have not taken it because you just don't know. I've just noticed that. And the only reason why I noticed it because Fish Lips trades those whole numbers. Anytime that I've seen the market blast the 75, the 50, literally it gets stuck at the 25 and recovers and goes straight back up 75 points. But I know the first time that I try it, it'll be a straight fail. Wow. We could possibly have a 26,000 run here, guys. Whew. It's not really a setup right here. There was just a level. It was more of a support level that we had marked out. There was no setup. I only had one setup this morning, and that was this setup. I only have like one mechanical setup that I trade. The rest of my entries are always like either breakouts or support and resistance. So this was the setup here. So like as far as the rules to follow, so you want to make sure that you pull, like this is the 8 to 8:15 candle, and you want to have a high, you want to have a low, and you're looking for you to pull back into discount inside this 15-minute candle. And whatever side it comes from, you're looking to take a short on the opposite side going out. So this is the only thing I trade as far as setup goes. And this is what I trade my funded accounts on. All right, so let's see if our 15-minute candle is going to hold here at the 25. So I'm hoping this will be like a little 25 retest and not an 800 retest. Very easily to get an 820, 825, or even pull back down to the whole number here to the 800s. Unfortunately, I missed the trade Wednesday and Thursday because the way that it happened, it was very quick and nasty, and there was really no clean entry. We've had two clean entries this week that I've traded because I didn't trade Monday, so I don't remember that one. But Tuesday was nice and clean, so we got Tuesday's win. Wednesday, I missed. Thursday, I missed. We had a clean setup this morning, but like I repeated in the earlier, the stop loss was so massive that I wasn't willing to risk $300 to $400 on that move. I was just in two micros solo, but my stop loss had to be almost 80 points. So we could easily close here. It would be definitely a nice trade. We just hit the 100 points. So we're going to target 966, and that's right below the high from yesterday when we hit the We hit the January 7th, we hit the 26,000s. So that's what we're targeting. What's up, Funny Meme? How are you doing today? So the only thing that could happen here to get a massive reversal, if we push up and hit that, I want to say the 900s, because a lot of times whenever you're in these big trades, the market likes to come back 100 points to kind of take everybody's stop out. It'll come back and hit the previous whole number, then rip back up 100 points. Yeah, they have it until Sunday, solo. But I don't think I'm gonna have my account passed in time to get that deal because I bought a like a 90% account off like right the day it ended. But I don't think I'm gonna pass this account before that ends. For anybody that has the Apex 90% off, unless they extend it, I want to say Sunday night's the last night to qualify for their discount activation fee. And I'm not sure if it applies to the 80% off though either. That I mean, I'm assuming if you pass the 80%, I guess you get a full port and still got the $65 activation fee. Solo, since you like were similar to like doing Elite, you should try the Padeus accounts because you can get a whole account for $55 with Padeus, and it's a static account. Like if they got their 80% off, it's like $55 all in. And they have the old APEC rules. I haven't looked in a few days. I usually only grab them up when they got the $8 deal. So I got two. So for the same account without the activation fee, when they run their 90% off, you can get some of their accounts for $8. So I got two evals. If you guys join me in the evening, that's what I trade on. I trade on my Padeus accounts on Quantower. They're like $8 accounts. And it's a one-time fee, so there's no renewal. So you can pay $8 when they have that sale. And you can take months to pass it because there's no monthly renewal. So it's just a one-time fee. That I like prop firms that do that. Just that one-time fee. You don't feel pressure to pass it in a month. You can take 2 months, 3 months, whatever, wherever you're at in your trading journey. $70, $80, $90, $110. So we got about 60 points locked in at the moment. I know the 25Ks is 500, but I thought the 50s were 1,000. I haven't looked at, I only got the 25Ks. But since I've been trading them kind of small in the evening solo, I've already built up like $1,000 and like $1,300 in drawdown. Because I'm up like $800, almost $900 in one account and six or 700 in the other. Yeah, so this one I'm a 868 in, and I've mainly just been trading this in the these are what I call my Tokyo accounts. So I just trade them in Tokyo market only. And this one we're up 655. So we got a small little victory on this one last night. Unfortunately, we gave back $40. I thought I switched accounts when we were looking for our next trade, and I entered and I took like a little 10-point loss and I closed it because I didn't want to risk all my profits. So we just closed that trade. That's what happened. That's what happened last night whenever I took that little 10-point loss because I didn't want to. If I was in a new account, I probably would have held it and tried to DCA in because that 700 was like a wall last night. It took all the way till London session to get through that 700 last night. It just kept basing back and forth between the 700s and the 50s. Thanks for the follow, Wolverine. So if you're just joining us, most of my trades are entered just on a few micros. This way, because everybody takes losses. And I've really been trying to focus on that probably since about last October, November, and not over leveraging. And this year I'm working on not over trading. So that was something I would do bad too. Like I know a lot of us go through that issue. Like you have a good morning of trading and then you just continue to trading during the lunch hour. Then you start just chipping away at your profits. I used to do that real bad for some reason. I don't even know why, but I would. Then next thing I knew, lost like half of your profit. So what my funded, it's usually just one trade and done for the day. So I'll either take a winner, loser, and not trade it for the rest of the day. The eval, and I'll tell you guys if I'm trading my eval aggressively because I don't ever recommend following eval trades if I say I'm trading this aggressively. So I was trading my one eval pretty aggressive yesterday because I thought I could maybe try to pass it by Sunday to get that $65 activation fee, but I'm pretty sure we won't get that. There's just no way unless I full port. And I'm not going to full port. Yeah, we all get that little greedy feeling, especially when the morning's going right. Then that lunch hour takes it all back. That's pretty good, King. I want to say, so we're about to get stopped out here. No, I was going to see if the 20 would hold. Whew. All right, we're going to get stopped out. Our runner's about to get stopped out here. So we'll it'll be a total about, looks like 50 points, 55 points. Unfortunately, we left 50 points on the table here. See, I feel like this could go all the way back down to the 800 here. Now, if you like to take breakouts, if you're into the bull flag, bear flag breakouts, this is a possible bull flag breakout right here. So if the bulls can hold this up around the 800s and then get that push back up, it should be like a nice little bull flag breakout here. That would be your 800 retest. Unless we lose that daily high. I don't know if anybody's ever noticed that. Like, does anybody know where the daily high is? Usually I have it marked out. Let me see. Let me see if I can find it real quick on my indicators. Let me just look up daily high. That didn't give me what I wanted. Okay, so right here. A lot of times if you push above the previous day high then sell back in it, a lot of times you'll get like a nice little push off, like a nice little sell off here. Man. We'll see what happens at the 66. See if your 66 holds. Sorry about the... So pretty much a bounce off that 60 area here. Oh, did you take the short fish lips, or was that a previous post, or was that the long from earlier? So the level we're kind of waiting to see what happens here is going to be that 66 level, guys. So if that 66 holds up, we could be moving back up higher. So this is also one thing that I pointed out the other day, that I would take these on the eval, but I forgot where that level was. Anytime that you push above the previous day high, then sell back down in it, most of the time you get like a nice little sell off. And this actually offered a nice little entry because it pushed below it. You had the little wick on the 5-minute candle, and then it sold down, what, 40, almost 60 points. I took one of these trades the other day. I was up 60 or 70 points before it came back. That was one of those 25 trades that I was talking about earlier where it blasts all the whole numbers, then V-shaped recoveries. Yeah, we just got out of a trade. We longed the 66 earlier. We took 60 points out of it. My first trade was a loss. It was the opening setup that I trade usually in the morning. That was this trade here. High, low, pull back 50 to 60% into discount. Then we had like a 70, 80 point sell off. But I got wicked out right before it sold off. So right before this wick back up, I had my stop loss sitting at the top of this candle here. And it just basically kind of tapped me. Then the very next candle was downtown. Then this last move, 66 was my long setup. That's where it's above kind of all these wicks. And plus we had like a little trend line breakout also. Yeah, it's one of those things, but that's why we keep we just go in with two micros, so it only cost me $100. So it wasn't like devastating or anything. So it's just $100 loss. Yeah, we just Yeah, I know when we got up here earlier, I was hoping that we would blast up through the almost going to the 26,000s. But man, the stop losses are just so massive today that it's really hard to jump into these candles. It doesn't look that big, but like, man, this is a 30.5-minute candle. So, I mean, your stop loss would have to be down to here. Like that is the hard part today is how big your stop loss has to be. I mean, it's one thing to take a little loss with 10, 20 points, but man, you don't want to be taking no freaking 30, 40 point stop loss or 50 points, depending on how much you over leverage your account. What's up, man? It's really kind of hard to say. Maybe if I enter, I'm gonna probably wait for the next 5-minute candle. We could be filling this gap back in up at the 39s. But I know if I try to jump in on this candle, it'll just yank me back and destroy my day. So a lot of times whenever I got big candles like this, I try to wait for the next candle to print and put in a wick and use that wick as my stop loss. Look at that 810 drama, guys. That's what we talk about, the 810 to 90 range. So this is why I never long into the 90. I never take the first hit of the 810 or the whole number. You always want to wait for it to hit, pull back, then on that second push, a lot of times you can get in. All right, this is the second push. Let's see if the second push will get us through there. This way we can get a second push plus a new candle to print. What time is it? Man, it's already freaking 11 o'clock. I think we go down to the previous day open. Yeah, definitely a big nice inversion gap trade setup. So So what if I end up finding another entry on this next trade? That'll probably be my last trade of the day because that'll be 3 trades. If anything, I was thinking about shorting the 66 on my eval. I mean, we're still finding support at the 66. Just hopefully it offers an entry where it just doesn't dump through it. That's the only bad thing about it. If it just sells through it without some kind of reasonable stop loss. Because that's the 75. You would at least think we'd get a quick push down to the 50s. We're still battling those 66s. Sorry if you couldn't see there. Yeah, see, we just keep wicking off of it. This is why I said you kind of have to wait for you to kind of get below it and just kind of bump it without hopefully getting a big boner candle to the downside. I mean, that's showing very bullish. We had a 50% pullback on this leg here. But you got about 2.5 minutes before the next 5-minute candle. I guess it really depends on what time frame you enter on your candles. I enter most of all my trades on the 5-minute chart. So it reason why I do that, because it makes me be patient and wait. Because I used to trade on the 1 minute for quite a while. And I've got it somewhat down so low, but I just haven't gave it a whirl yet. But like I was saying, I used to trade on the 1 minute charts, and I would end up buying into a lot of like fake breakouts. So trading the 5 minute definitely helps me slow down, and it helps me from not over trading. So right now, if we take this next entry, it'll just be our third trade of the day. Man, I'd like to see this just close right above the 800s, 810s, make a little wig down to the 800s. This way you can kind of use that 800 as your stop loss. And we're about to have a new hourly candle. So just got to see who's going to win the battle here. All right, 1 minute left on this candle. The only crappy thing about this, if you do take it, your stop loss has to go at the bottom down here. And if you want to play it right, the way I plan on playing it, if I do enter, is I'm gonna use the wick of the next candle that prints, and that way, if I do get stopped out, it's not for like massive loss. Five seconds left. Shit. Didn't even get the pullback to happen so fast. So it could hit the 25s and come back down to the 800s here. I'm thinking it's going to have a pullback because didn't really get much of a pullback on this candle. So it could easily hit the 25, come back down to the whole number here. And I'm only in this with 2 micros. If it pulls back down to the 800, we're going to add. We got in so late. I wish we were long around like the teens, somewhere between the 10 and 15. Still got 3 minutes left on this candle. We should already had our take profit. I hate that we got such a late entry on that. Oh, don't one wig me. At least get my first target in, then we can keep our. All right, so we're still going to keep a 10-point stop loss on this for a break even trade, and we're going to try to see if we can target these highs up here. A lot of time left on this 5 minute candle, guys. We got 2 minutes. Man, it's just looking so bullish right now. It's like, can we finally get the 26,000? I'm gonna see how much farther we can go up. I feel like we can get up to the 900s. Actually, I'm gonna target the 990s here, the 890s. So this thing could come all the way back down to the 25. So if you like to trade whole numbers, it'll hit the 50, come back down to the 25 or even the 800 level here to move back up. So there's always that possibility whenever you're thinking of whole numbers. So what we'll do is we'll actually, like I said, we still haven't made anything on this trade because we're still in negative drawdown. So we're basically risking our 10 points that we made to have a negative drawdown here. You really need to stay above the 39 level. I think that's going to be the line in the sand here. That's their previous day high, that 39. "30 seconds. If we can't take over that 39, it's probably coming back down. Would it be nice if we can just push up a little bit here and just kind of retest that 39? Because that's our previous day open here. I mean, we're right above it. This is where you want to see this next candle print and make a little bitty wick and just rip. If this thing rips above this wick here, I'm going to take my stop loss to the previous day open here. If the previous day open holds. Come on. It's trying to hold up. We just wicked through it, so. No, previous day open. I'm just going to take it to break even. Okay, so all right, so maybe this is the takeoff. Come on, blast the 50s. $39 held, guys. The 39 held. That was their previous day close. It did exactly what we were hoping it would do. Print above it, make a little wick, kind of give you somewhere to put your stop loss at, because most time if it comes back down here, it's just moving back down. So this way we can just kind of play off the 5-minute candles. How long ago? Man, I wish I had the courage to re-enter this back at the 66 level from earlier, but I did not. All right, we're back at another whole number, which is the 50. So you can sometimes anticipate like 20-point pullbacks off your whole numbers. I still want to see it blast because I think if we can hit the 75 here, we'll run this wick here before we drop back down. All right, we got less than 2 minutes to go before this next candle prints. Still got a minute and a half. A lot of time left on this 5-minute candle, guys. We'll have to see what the 75 per holds, because we could run into some resistance at the quarter hold number, or 75, and then it could make a quick little like V shape, not V shape, but like a quick wick back down to the 50 level. All right, less than 1 minute left. Hopefully, I'm hoping this candle here gets my target, because I really don't want to see a second candle print. Nice. All right. Nice. We got our target before this candle, next candle printed. I feel like it's almost like I feel like we could almost target the 26,000s. Nice. Whew. So that was definitely going to be my last trade of the day. I'll still hang out a little bit and watch charts, but I'm not going to enter anymore. We already entered 3 trades today. Thank you guys for hanging out and following today. Hopefully, we're at least able to find 1 trade today, maybe 2. We were 2 for 1 today. Our first one was a loss, even though it was a winner, but that was all me. That's me not putting my stop loss where it needs to be. And the last 2 were taken off based off level based, which that 66 was my level. I didn't take the retest of the 66. I took the original breakout of the 66. And this one, we just waited a little bit for us to get above the 800. Because I know what would have happened if I sit here and tried to hold this up to the 26,000. This thing would have just basically got up here. Because what scares me, where I'm not a fan of these hold numbers sometimes, is sometimes when you got a very like bullish reaction, a lot of volatility, man, you can hit these hold numbers and sell back 100 points. And then you're just kind of stuck there with nothing. I still feel like we got a lot more room to the top side if you're still, for anybody that's holding longs. I think if you can pull fib, I'm pretty sure like you'll probably have this pull back maybe into the 60s here, 70s, and use this as your resistance, the top of this leg. Like this. Or you can pull fib on this leg here and look for a possible, like, to stay super bullish, you kind of want the 23 to 38% to hold up. But to get back into the discount price, it would have to pull all the way back down to the 25s. So this is some of the trades that we've been seeing a while. Whenever we blast up through here without stopping at these hold numbers, I swear 3 times this week, I've seen us pull all the way back from 900 all the way back to the 25, then blast back up 75 points. All right, we'll mark those out real quick. That way that's not in the way. Sorry if I missed anything in the chat, guys. I was kind of focused on the charts, so I wasn't quite looking at the charts the whole time. I mean the chat the whole time. So Outer, did you get the long? I know, Outer. I wish I'd have held to the 26,000s, man, but my luck when I've tried to like shoot something for that high, I would have got wrecked. It would just come back and stop me out after being up 60 or 70 points. It's kind of like that move earlier where we were up 100 points and I only took half. And that was from this trade because we got long at 66. It went all the way to about 70, 75, then basically pulled back 100 points. If you're not in long already, just be careful if you're trying to jump in late getting the FOMO. You want to wait for your pullback if you can. Like this was actually a nice little long setup here. Even if you didn't take this original breakout, this setup here where you make this nice little U shape, this is probably 50% here. You find support above all these wicks here, then you just got to be able to find you an entry that makes sense to you. And that's sometimes the hardest part for me. Like I know we're going up, but how do I enter it? That's where I struggle sometimes. No, Bishop's like, no shorting Outer. A lot of cleanup below. Oh, shoot. Man, we should have been 3 for 3 today, guys. So annoying. Should have been 3 for 3. Could have had a perfect trading day. All right, so let's see. I got the 50% and the 60% marked out here. So this is the levels that we're looking for to get to pull back into to kind of make a new leg. So if the bulls are really going to stay in charge, you probably won't get past the 70s and the 60s here, and it'll just continue ripping higher. If the bears can step in a little bit, maybe pull it back to the 25. That's that one play that we've been, yep. I know, Fish Lips. I know. I'm almost willing. I almost want to take a micro trade at the 25 just because I've watched that thing happen over and over all week. That would just be literally insane to watch 4 of those trades happen over and over. So what he's talking about here, pulling all the way back to the 825 and 20s, then rip back up another 75 points. All right, so hit the 900 on the nail there. That's what I was talking about, hitting that whole number, and you can have literally a 50 to 75 point pullback off of that whole number. I don't know. This looks like a nice, there is a little bitty, looks like an imbalanced gap there, but man, this might be a nice pullback into this gap to clean up those 25s. Would this not be your entry, like right here, Outer? Like if you're trading back into the gaps for a possible long? Oh my goodness. Guys, I only have about 10 more minutes and we have to call it a day. So if you're heading out, good luck the rest of the day. Hope you're able to at least find one long out of the long trades we took today. I tried to give as much information as I could without messing up, feeling responsible for someone else's account. So like my first setup was I was long above 66. We got long exactly 66. I think, like I said, we took 50 points here. We made another pullback to the 66 and that held up. But I waited to just kind of make sure that we were going to get above the whole number. And it was similar to the same thing where I said I'd like to see us print above the whole number. The only thing about this is I got in late because it popped so fast. So I was probably about 10 points off of where I wanted to enter because I want to see a pullback, like have a nicer wick than that and then pop. But time it wigged back, it popped up like 20 points and I was in that thing like in the 20s instead of the teens. So I did not get the greatest feel on this trade here. $900 to $875 was the gold here. Yeah, no, that 900 bounce gave you a nice 10 points. I'm kind of glad we didn't get that Supreme Court news today because I feel like it would have just jacked up the charts because we would have just had some massive like 200 or 300 point boner candle either to the downside or upside. And I hate trading around the news candles. I like when the market's like in form or like structure. I hate whenever we have these huge news candles. Like I said, guys, we're going to hang out for another 10 minutes, and that'll be it for me today. I don't know if we'll be able to stay here long enough to get that pullback back into the 25s here. I mean, I'm not sure if we even sell down that far, but that's where that'd be kind of the area that I would look for if you're going to look for that nice 75-point pullback, kind of like the previous. It'll be similar to like what we did down here. So basically, we pretty much blasted this move down. We pretty much just blasted through all these levels and got down. Like, we didn't really stop at the 75s. We didn't stop at the 50s. It was just straight down. And then that thing bounced back off of the 25 because the close was around the 40 level. But, man, it just blasted straight back up for a nice V-shaped recovery. How's everybody else's trading been going today? Was everybody able to find at least one? Damn, I'm over here. Trying to manipulate the charts to see your levels. Oh, I told everybody, Rocky, that 66 was my line in the sand for the longs. If you're still here, sorry about I didn't see your message there, Rocky. Oh, goodness. I'm curious, did Bulinox ever update their sell? Man, nobody wants to buy Bulinox at 45%. All right, so they finally upped it to 83%. All right. Oh, nice on 2 contracts on the ES. Man, I wish I could get better at trading the ES because I just feel like it's a little bit slower. It's not as hectic, and they probably like slower setups. But I have sometimes in the past I've struggled with just waiting on the ES to move. So that's why I get so attached to the NQ. Not as much now as I struggled with in the past with holding trades. Yeah, that's something I struggled real bad in the earlier, and that's what kind of made me go to the NQ because I started out on the ES, but I struggled with patience. What's up, Wall Street? I've been looking at your indicator. I'm at next. I don't have long to stay to ask you questions. I see it, but I don't quite understand the whole setup of your indicator that you were sharing. And I'll have to like try to DM you and ask you a few more questions about it. Yeah, I think I was looking for you last night. Oh, yeah, we should have time like later tonight or something. I'll be back home later this evening. I have to go to work for a few hours, then got to do the whole dinner thing with the wife this evening. Supposed to go out to dinner with the wife then. Yeah, that definitely takes a while, Tyler. Like not cutting your losses early. Trust me, it took like 8-9 months ago. I would never hold a trade for 50 to 100 points. But I've gotten more and more comfortable with my entries that like a while ago we were up 100 points on that last trade at the 66. But unfortunately, I only took 50 because sometimes I've got where I wait too long to take profit. Thank you for the follow, Godz. Man, this looks like it's setting up for another nice little bull flag breakout, guys. I still feel like that 26,000 is your target. I mean, this is definitely creating a nice little breakout flag here for anybody that likes to trade breakouts. I'm probably not going to take it because, like I said, I have to leave in a few minutes. Yeah, I was looking for you last night, Wall Street. We were on a few hours last night. We caught a nice trade last night for, well, I think we were up almost 70 points, 60, 70 points. We were short from 83 on the first pullback. Unfortunately, we only took about half of that because I was looking for about the 815s, 820. And so we got stopped out for half instead of the full amount. Yeah, we're hitting that lunchtime. It seems like we lost all the momentum. Okay. And so that was pretty much a 900 back to 75. If 75 don't hold, you should get a push back to the 50. Then your line in the sand probably here is going to be that previous day open. Thanks, Tyler. We try to keep it super simple. Nothing, I don't usually do anything that's too complicated. I don't know if you were here for my funded trade, but we missed, this is my mechanical setup on my funded trade that I take. But like I said, I failed myself today. So this is what I look for in the morning on my funded accounts. But like I mentioned earlier, it was the stop loss, the size of the stop loss that kind of scared me off. So your high, your low, and then you're looking for a pullback in that first 15 minutes of the day. And that's the 15-minute candle from 8 o'clock to 8:15. Oh, wait, 9 o'clock from 9:15. I'm in Central Time, so sometimes I'll say the wrong time. And then you're looking for basically 30 to 40 points to the downside. As you can see, we pretty much went down 80 points. But this is what happened. I knew how big this stop loss was because your stop loss is supposed to be at the top here. But I didn't want to risk 70 points because that's quite a bit of money on a 25K account with 2 micros, because that's like $300 or $400. I mean, that's like 25% of your profit. I thought this candle was done pushing up, and so I had my stop loss right above this wick here, and it did a quick, real like 20-point burst, almost 30 points, stopped me out. Then as soon as the next candle printed, it dumped like 80 points. So that's kind of how we missed our funded trade this morning. And this trade right here pretty much happens over and over every day, but most of the time your stop loss is not that big. Most of the time, like maybe 20 to 30 points, 40 at the max. But my entry was down here at the 40s, below that 50% of this leg, or right below this 15-minute as you kind of start blasting to the upside. So in the top of that leg was all the way up there at the, 830s. So this is what I mean. Like you would have to have like a 70, 80 point stop loss. And there was just no way I was going to risk that much for one trade. So that's kind of what happened with this first trade this morning. So that's how we took the L on it. But you know, if you make mistakes, you kind of learn from them and like, oh, that's what I did wrong. All right, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Everyone have a good weekend. If you got 90% Apex accounts, just remember Sunday is the last night. So if you don't pass that, I'm not sure what they're going to raise their activation fee up to. So just so you're aware. You too, Outer. Good luck if you're able to find an entry on that long here on the pullback. But, man, you only have about 30 minutes, then we'll be in that lunch hour. All right, that's one. In.